Welcome to All Kinds. I'm Kaya.
And I'm Yehudis. So in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about marriage. Everything to do with marriage. Is marriage even a thing of the past? Also, we're going to touch a bit about 90 Day Fiancé. Is any of it really, as real as they say it is? And we're going to be talking about this Jessica Mulroney drama. Wow. So let's get started. Chaya, so you're married.
Right. And it's interesting because I got married later and you're a newlywed still, technically.
Absolutely. Don't you forget it.
And I've seen the attitudes changing. When I was growing up, people were still kind of anti-marriage. And then people started more getting into it, like in terms of it's not so antiquated, the celebration of love.
And kind of in my generation age group, is that a generation for 10 years apart? Is that a...
Oh, the shade.
Well, people around my age, less and less of them are even thinking about marriage.
It was the same for me. People were like, oh, you don't need it. And the same arguments came up like it's property and we're still together. It shouldn't matter if we're married or not. It's the same thing. And to be honest with you, I didn't understand the point of it either. I did always think it's a piece of paper. But what I came to, how I see it now, like with my marriages, I look at it like, having a lease for a car, for example.
Oh.
Because you can lease a car and it could be beautiful and new and you can keep it for a few years. You can also buy the car. What's the difference? The minute you buy a car and you roll it out the lot, you lose the value right away. They say that. But if you buy a car and you take care of it for years and years, it could end up being a collectible and being priceless, like we see with some very valuable collectible cars. So I kind of looked at it like that. So that's how, I don't know, it's to each his own, but that's how I see it. To me, it's something worthwhile because first and foremost in our society, you do get the protections.
That's true.
That's not recognized everywhere. It's just how it is, whether you agree or not.
What kind of protections?
Well, protections like you've heard stories, if you're not married, you're not considered first of kin. So let's say your partner would be sick. You might not be able to go to the hospital.
We have those. And there's common law, right?
But common law, I think, is limited depending on where you are. You don't get the same.
I know from my experience, when I was around 24, 25, before that, I was thinking, you know what, I'm not going to get married. I think it's a thing of the past. And, we come from parents of divorce. All my friends growing up.
Most people, yeah.
I think one of my friends is the only one that, their parents are married. But so it wasn't in the cards for me. But then when I was 24, 25, I figured, you know what, I actually do want to get married.
But why?
And I don't care if it ends in divorce. I want to get married. I want to meet someone that I can form this commitment with. And I figured...
But the whole argument is, can't you do that without the paper?
I wanted the paper. I wanted someone to commit to me. It does make a difference. Now, I've lived with a boyfriend before in the past, and that's what kind of scared me from marriage. But actually, it also encouraged me to marry because there is a difference, at least for me, the moment... And I was living with my husband before we got married. But once he asked me to be his wife and once we got married, it really, for some reason, it changed. I don't know if it's spiritually or just...
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And I've tried to understand what that is. But I also like the whole wedding idea. I never thought about it, but it's a celebration of somebody. Yeah. But it's nice to, bring everyone together for love. That's how I look at it. My husband said to me at the time, he's like, nowadays everyone lives so spread out and everything. Unfortunately, you only get to see your family for good or bad times, like a funeral or a wedding. And this is an opportunity to bring everyone together to celebrate love.
And I think also what changes too, as opposed to couples who don't get married, you don't really get the marriage talks. Sure, when you're in a relationship, your boyfriend could have your back or, vice versa. But, when I was getting married, our rabbi gave us classes and I'll never forget what he said. He said, once you are married, that is not only is it sacred, which of course it is, but he said to never let anyone get involved in that marriage or, disrupt the marriage.
Yeah, nobody told me that when I was with a boyfriend either.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful because, no matter what. So even let's say if I'm fighting with my sister or anyone, I have to put my husband first and he has to put me first. And that's so powerful.
Yeah. My best friend was telling me that she's been, married for a long time and it's a happy marriage by all accounts. And we don't see enough of that too. I think that's why me growing up, I only saw like two couples that were, I saw a lot of married couples from my friends' parents, but I saw a lot of unhappy married couples. You could feel that tension. But in her case, she told me that too, right off the bat. She's like, your husband comes first. He's your family.
Right.
And that was a hard concept to wrap around.
It's very hard, especially, I'm very close with you and,
your family,
my sister, my family, my mother and my father. But let's say if I had an overbearing mother who was, disrespecting my husband, in Jewish law, I don't know, put my husband first.
No, but I think that's the point. That's what they're saying. No matter what law or country you come from, that's what it is. It's putting them first. And yes, you could do all that without being married, but there isn't as much emphasis on it in society, I think. Like, I didn't think in those terms, even though I had been in long-term relationship living with someone, and I was like, yeah, he's my family. But it wasn't emphasized. It made me like,
really... I think putting a person first is such a powerful and amazing feeling, because I know my husband has my back. I know I have his back. So let's say, I lose a friend. I have my husband. But what I noticed is it's the way other people look at you when you're married. They right away make that assumption. I hadn't made that assumption, but they right away go, oh yeah, well, that's your husband. Of course you're going to stick with him. Of course. And then absolutely,
it's like,
as they should.
But they don't say that with your boyfriend.
No, exactly. Those are different things. And I also just love being married. I love saying I have a husband besides that. Do. But, even when we fight, it's not like, oh, I'm going to break up with you. Like, this is a marriage. This takes work. This takes both of us. Let's work it out. And I can just say I'm almost coming up a year
no more
being married.
Newlywed. I know you love
I'm
saying
still a newlywed bitch.
You're not.
But even with that, just how much we've grown. We used to have, these, when we get into arguments, we couldn't talk to each other. Just even 3 months ago, we started to like really talk properly to each other of, navigating problems. And we were both so proud of ourselves. Like, wow, we didn't have to like argue. We could actually talk it out. That type of growth, I think, would only happen in a strong marriage.
Because I think it's so ingrained in society, we unconsciously or consciously look at it differently. And you don't realize it until it happens to you. Because I was prepared to like never get married. And then he proposed and I was like, yeah, the celebration of love. And then I'm finding these things. And also a lot of people used to say, well, the only reason to get married is if you're going to have a family. That was the whole reason. And I wasn't sure I would have a family. And even today, I'm not sure. I'm almost 40. I'm still on the fence. But my point is that the only reason? I don't think so.
Well, I keep asking my husband, when are you going to make a woman out of me?
See, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
The most sexist line. But definitely it's true. And marriage is not only if you want kids or if you don't want kids, it's about that commitment. I definitely want kids, and we'll see. And a marriage can change.
But I think the meaning of marriage keeps changing, because it used to be like what people say. When I was growing up, I believed as well. And it was the case that you were married. It was a property thing, The wife became property. That's why you took the name. And it protected you being under this man's household who was supposed to provide for you and all that. But obviously times have changed. So why are people still getting married? It's come to mean different things.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So there are a lot of celebrities who are not getting married. There's tons of them. And they feel it's the same thing. And also you have to understand, some people have been married before. They're scarred by it. It could be a financial reason.
Right.
It could be a feeling of entrapment and doom, but it's the same thing. Like I said, goes back to the car. You could always sell the car. You can always divorce. In fact, Shalom, our brother, he made a joke with me the other day. He said, what's the number one cause of divorce? Marriage. It's coming from his lawyer, right? So there you go, right? So
it's true. And there have been, like Kourtney Kardashian is like the only Kardashian besides actually, no, Kylie as well. They both have children, and, they weren't married when they had these children, and, they're broken up. But I feel like if you were married, maybe there's more of a commitment to stay, which can be unhealthy.
But I've always disagreed with staying together for the kids.
Right. So it can either be healthy or not. Healthy. But I just know, if I have a child with my husband, I'm able to work it out. Like we'd have more of a compelling reason to try. But obviously, if you're in a toxic relationship, married or not, I mean, you should leave, kids or no kids.
No, it's not a good example for the kids. You don't want them seeing that. You want to see mommy and daddy, or mommy very healthy.
But I get it in her case. Daddy. Like Kylie Jenner is apparently a billionaire, although Forbes now has taken that back, that she's probably not a billionaire.
Well, because she wasn't self-made. That was the whole thing.
And she's also probably not a billionaire, but, she's dating Travis Scott, who's a rapper, and he has millions. But, let's say if you do get married, it is risky. I mean,
I don't know the laws. It depends on the state, I think, in the U.S. So I think it depends on the country. For the states, like we said before, common law might have more protections here than in another country. We're talking about the protections.
All
again.
I know is I love being married, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And to all those young people that are worried about getting married or don't think it's for them, I'm not saying give it a chance, but I'm just saying, when you're dating, meet a guy who matches your values, not what you have in common. My husband loves cars. I don't know a thing about cars, but I love that he's passionate about that. But what our values are the same. We're very loyal to each other. We love, continue growing a family. These were our values. So
I read a really good article a few years back. I'm not sure where it was, but if somebody had collected all the data from a bunch of married couples who'd been together like 50 years, and they said exactly what you said. Opposites attract, but they don't last. What's important is to have the same values. You can like different things, but if the number one thing I think is finance, right? So you have to be on the same page. If you're generous, you can't be with someone who's stingy, and vice versa. You guys have to be on the same page. You don't have to be exactly the same, but the values have to be there. If you believe in education, he should believe in education, or she should be, whoever, your partner should believe in the same fundamental values of respect and finance.
Whatever the values are, And also Oprah, she's never married Stedman.
Yeah, but that one's always scandalous. We always wondered, is she secretly with Gail? Because Gail did get married.
I don't want to out her right, but, we don't know. Oprah and Gail, they could just be best friends.
You can have a bestie. I don't know why everyone's always suspicious. You can be really tight with someone for years.
And I don't blame Oprah for being best friends with Gail, because Gail's an excellent journalist. I mean, I know that's the whole reason I watch her on. I don't even know the program. I just look up Gail King and I'm watching.
Gail is the woman behind the woman here. You know what I mean? Behind every successful woman. Well, there's another woman. It's Gail.
Absolutely. And
maybe she trained Oprah. I'm not saying that. No, Oprah's Oprah, but
Oprah's amazing.
But Gail's really come into her own.
She has. I mean, with that R. Kelly interview,
put her on the map. I mean, she always was, but this was next level. I mean, that was a big, big thing, obviously, and Gail got the scoop, if you will.
Well, and then there's, marriages that aren't taken seriously, like in 90 Day Fiancé. I mean, where do we start?
That's a whole thing, girl. But
Michael. I mean, Angela and Michael, what a crazy thing to see. Danielle and Mohammed are still my favorite couple.
Well, yeah. So just the backup. If you guys don't know the show, it's on TLC, the Learning Channel. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. I think they started with a good intent to show how different cultures. Basically, there's a visa in the United States called the K-1 visa, where you can bring in a fiancé from anywhere. And once they're on U.S. soil, they have 3 months to get married. So you see a lot of crazy relationships.
It's basically Americans taking advantage of poor people in poor countries, and the poor people taking advantage of their Americans. They can come there. There are a few real couples. There's
very
Lexi
few.
And
less and less,
and Alex.
They get started with a few real couples, and then
the rest were just Americans taking advantage.
Excuse my French, a shit show.
Right. And then, a lot of times, for instance, Big Ed and Rose.
Right. So
Rose is from the Philippines.
That's right. And she's got a kid.
And
she lives in poverty.
And
he's from San Diego.
She has to go such a length where she has to be married to this guy called Big Ed, who doesn't really have a neck.
Yeah.
He puts his hair, like mayonnaise on his hair for...
Oh, yeah. You guys could just Google. You'll see it. The issue is he goes over there, right? And he disrespects her. It's not enough that, this arrangement is understood. Now he's got to disrespect and embarrass her. And she called him out. That was the big shocker.
That was the big shocker.
That she stood up for her dignity and human rights. She may be poor, but he has no right to treat her this way.
Absolutely. And I remember the very first season, there was a guy who was 69 years old with this Filipino girl.
Oh, Mark.
From 19. And she was 19 years old. And he wanted her to sign a prenup. And his own lawyer said, listen, if you sign this prenup and you divorce, you will get nothing. And she still had to sign. He's taking advantage of her.
Yeah, they're desperate to leave these terrible conditions that they're in. These people are coming from, poverty. And especially in Rose's case that you mentioned, she's got a kid to think about. So she was willing to do it, to sleep with this guy, to marry this guy, to get into that country and make a better life for herself. But there's only so much dignity. She can't put up with those indignities.
Right.
That's
She's really the first one. And kudos to her, but I don't judge the other ones for not standing up. Because if I'm from a lot of these countries where, I don't even have running water. I mean,
That's her situation.
right. I mean, kudos to her. But I don't blame the other ones. They do what they have to do. And these Americans, they were looking for them
They're
as well.
These are like sex tourists. You see it
Right.
over and over. They're looking to get someone that basically can come home and they can control and
It's
take
legalized
advantage of.
trafficking.
This is what it is. This is what it is. And, unfortunately, I think TLC set out to just show different cultures. And there were a couple of real marriages, but it just went off the rails. And now it's getting uglier and uglier. It's like people say, I can't watch this, but you can't look away.
You really can't. I mean, once you watch one episode, I've actually stopped watching the new seasons just because I feel like it's getting faker and faker too with the editing.
That's it.
I
think
loved
but it is
Danielle and
real.
Mohammed.
So you know what? They followed around, I think it was New York Times. They followed them around last year because everyone's asking the question, is this real? It's so crazy. Is it real?
It's nuts.
They followed them around and they said, everyone who's on that show has applied for a K-1 visa. These are real couples. So even though it seems so outrageous, these are real couples getting in and doing their sex tours and trafficking, whatever you want to call it.
Right. So when they say, when they obviously get divorced in the end, they're all shocked by it, and they'll say, marriage, it's not for me anymore. Those type of marriages, probably not.
Yeah, it's out of control. A lot of them are worried that it's just not going to work out and they got to have a kid. So watching those attempts are really funny because some of these people can't even have children anymore. How old is Angela? And her last egg. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I'm going to give you a baby, Michael.
Oh,
no,
this
you
was
won't.
the craziest. So Angela wanted to use her daughter's eggs to make a baby with Michael. And what did she say, Chaya, to the daughter?
I just need your egg. I can tote it. So that became a huge internet sensation. This woman's character, hilarious, but these are real people.
I can tote it.
Yeah, I just need your egg. I can tote it. No, she can't. Okay, but anyway.
Well, coming up, I think it's time for a commercial break, and then we'll
Absolutely.
discuss this Jessica Mulroney drama. So, Chaya, what's today's commercial?
Well, this week's episode is brought to you by Schmuck. Can't keep up with who's getting canceled? Worried about accidentally making a reference that is not okay anymore? Download Schmuck today. With the Schmuck app, you can stay on top of which celebrity, music, or movies that you need to delete or unfollow. Schmuck also stays on top of which brands are betraying your hard-earned loyalty with their mess. Don't worry about missing the latest putz behavior with alerts and updates. Don't shit in a wig and download the Schmuck app today.
And we're back. It's a great app.
You know what? Yeah, I hope you download it because
And I think it's really necessary for this Jessica Mulroney that is lighting up the internet.
Oh, my Lord. So for those of you who don't know, Jessica, a.k.a. Meghan Markle's BFF, a.k.a. Canadian royalty, a.k.a. heiress, a.k.a. I don't even know.
Stylist. She
To the stars.
was one of Canada's best-selling, bridal expert.
Yeah, she was responsible to be the face of Kleinfeld's at the Bay.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
So for those who don't know, basically...
Sasha Exeter is an influencer.
Right. And she called out Jessica for some terrible white privilege behavior. I don't, get into the details.
So I'll just get into it a little bit. So Sasha Exeter is a Black Canadian influencer, and she has some buzz. She's getting some traction, obviously. She's, even knows to contact Jessica Mulroney.
She's worked with her.
Right. She's worked with her, and she's beautiful, and she's becoming a name of herself as well in Canada. So she decided, with the Black Lives movement right now going on, which rightfully so, Black lives do matter.
Absolutely.
She decided to call out Jessica, who, what's interesting about this is that she called out Jessica for threatening her, for saying, I know people basically, and, I'll tell everyone how rude you are, how unkind you are.
No. What happened was this: Sasha had posted Black Lives Matter on her platform, and then Jessica said, "Don't be doing that."
Right.
That's what
But
happened.
I'm trying to get into what Sasha was saying, that, that she was saying Jessica's not a racist. But she was quick to threaten her and use her privilege to say, hey, I'll tell every one of my connections how rude you were, how unkind you were to me. So even though Jessica is friends with Meghan Markle, who is a biracial woman, she had no problem to threaten a Black woman and use her connections against her.
Right.
And I just felt so bad for Sasha and so proud of her that she's able to come out, because I can't imagine getting those type of threats from someone who's best friends with the royal family.
Oh, and then it gets worse.
Oh, this is...
So Jessica issues this whole mea culpa apology.
Which, you know what? It was really nice. And I was thinking, you know what? Maybe we can forgive her.
People
maybe.
can grow.
But then what does she do after, Chaya?
Oh, she sends her a private message in her DM saying, libel suit, good luck, which she misspelled
Is
libel.
that the most... First of all, besides
then a
even the
threat.
white privilege, That's a bitch move.
I can't even get past that. It's one thing you apologize and then you're sending her a private message, which obviously Sasha, showed.
And not only that, she's publicly acknowledging that she has to do her part to uplift Black influencers, Black creators. And then she has no problem again saying libel suit. Good luck.
Unbelievable. The shame of it all. Like, really. I think she's gone quiet now, but she's been cut from everything, rightfully so. But she had an apology that clearly wasn't genuine.
Clearly was not. And it's like Lea Michele. I mean, yes, you post Black Lives Matter. Yes, obviously what happened to George Floyd was awful. But it goes into a bigger picture as well, as how you just have no problem treating minorities the way that you do.
Yeah. So the issue is a lot of these celebrities have been called out and have apologized. I think what puts Jessica in a league of her own
absolutely
is after the apology, the threat to sue.
I mean,
that is next level.
It is astonishing. I hope, I know everyone's against the cancel culture, but I think we need to cancel Jessica Mulroney because I'm just disgusted. I cannot move on from that.
Well, I think it's very interesting because she acknowledges her privilege. She's from a very wealthy family. She's part of Canadian royalty, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's very well known. She travels in these circles. Her husband is very famous.
Ben Mulroney. Yeah, he's on E-Talk. I don't even want to see Ben. Again, with the whole marriage, you're a unit. I mean, you're married to a bully. I can't respect that.
Be best.
I don't want to see Ben Mulroney talk to any more celebrities. Who knows what he's doing? I mean, they're a unit. Obviously, she's a bully. She's this, I'm nice to your face, but I'm going to you in the back.
And she's had no understanding of what people have gone through because she acknowledges she's grown up super privileged. I'm not saying she hasn't worked, but, obviously the way
Well, it just makes me question it because do you just respect Black people maybe in your same level of fame, in your circle, or, and you think that you can, this influencer, well, you know what? She's a little bit big, but not as big. So let me threaten her.
No, the power this woman is trying to.
The power move. And just discuss. Shame on you, Jessica. Shame.
It's a Shonda.
It's a Shonda, Jessica. You know what? You are not welcome. Do not even come next to us.
Well, I don't know how she's going to come back from that. And already the royal family with all these scandals, it's going to link because she's besties with Markle. And, everyone's looking at Prince Andrew and Fergie now. It's like one thing after another.
I honestly feel bad for Meghan Markle because Jessica was standing up for Meghan. But now, obviously...
Was she standing up for her? How?
Well, because she was one of the sources, for magazines.
They think she might have planned her wedding. That's what they say. It's not confirmed.
And she was Meghan's stylist for, the engagement photo shoot, that beautiful white jacket that Meghan wore. I just feel really bad for Meghan Markle because that's supposed to be her best friend. And it's like, whoa, that's how you treat Black people?
Is that the trio? Also, she's also tight with Sophie Gregoire, who's Trudeau's wife, right? She's her stylist. So it's going to link to everybody.
And it also shows how fake it is, too. When you say, you're all about diversity, it's just like, oh, yeah, I'm about diversity for you guys. Just don't come near me.
That's what it's...
And especially with Trudeau, because he went to a school called Préboeuf in Montreal, which has zero diversity. No. And then you're preaching, why don't you start with you first?
Yeah, and I'm sure, just the fact that she feels she can get away with, here's the apology.
That's what sickens me.
And then she still thinks she can threaten this girl. I can't get past that.
Shame on you, Jessica. I don't even want to see you anymore.
You think she's going to move forward with that lawsuit?
You know what? No. And I think Sasha, you need to sue her for threats. You need to say you are scared for your life.
But also the suing thing is weird because we're in Canada and we don't have that kind of tort, environment here. Everybody's not just suing up a store.
No.
I'll see you in court. No. What? What are you talking about?
Well, you know what? I think Sasha needs to sue her and make a message that you cannot be doing this and make it loud and proud.
Well, Sasha definitely got it loud. She got it out because she took a screenshot of that DM.
And what's so nice about Sasha, she could have easily said, you know what? Jessica's a racist.
And she didn't.
She didn't. Yeah. She even threw her a bone saying, I don't think Jessica's a racist. I think that she used her privilege, but I don't think she's a racist. That was so generous of Sasha to do because I do see a little bit of racism in this situation. And she decided not to say that. And then you threaten her. But that's what I can't get over.
What happens? Sasha's obviously the first, but as we see time and again from these types of people, there'll be more people who have worked with her high profile who are probably going to say something.
Well, on Twitter as well, there was a woman posting BLM, Black Lives Matter, on her sidewalk. And a white person just appeared and she says, you can't be doing that. This is not your property, blah, blah, blah. And they found her on Twitter. She owns a socially conscious makeup brand.
Oh,
so again,
well, people never think
they're all coming out of the woods.
It's crazy though. Download Schmuck to stay on top of it.
That's right. They definitely need Schmuck. And Jessica, if you want to advertise for Schmuck, I wouldn't even want you to just use Schmuck.
I don't think she's going to want to be advertising, but maybe she'll download it to see who else.
Well, I know she's out of a job.
Reach out to new friends. That's the thing. She doesn't care if she's out of a job. She's got oodles of money and whatever.
She cannot come back from this.
I don't think so.
No.
But listen, people do try. Look at Prince Andrew trying to make a comeback,
It is try. Prince Andrew, they need to lock him up. And, they need to also lock away Fergie, whatever her name is.
He thinks he's coming back. He's out there like there's like a PR campaign. He's donating food for the,
You're a pedophile. You hung out with a convicted pedophile.
I think they're seeing it as just a PR blip.
It is not. The firm needs to understand. The royal firm needs to understand. Pedophilia is the limit.
It's a line, guys. Yeah. But I really think they think, okay, you know what? It'll calm down. People will get over the pedophilia. And he'll donate to a few charities. Like he'll be out there seen helping the people, maybe even children.
I don't want him anywhere near the children. And that's the problem too, where, I'm going to start going on Kate Middleton, unfortunately. And you guys know I love Kate Middleton. But, a lot of her patronages are about children and protecting children and mental health. And Kate and Will, you guys got to start taking him away. I don't care if it's the first time in royal history. No, but when you're involved, a lot of her charities and patronages are with children.
Right. But is Prince Andrew involved with that?
No, but the fact that you stand up for children, that means you have to stand up for...
Oh, you mean publicly denounce him? Yeah.
Absolutely. Prince Andrew. They need to do that. I'm sorry you need to do that.
I think the only way they can get past this is that he legitimately cooperates, gives an interview, and takes some accountability.
He needs to
take accountability and do whatever. If he has to go to prison, he goes to prison. Set a precedent.
What I find funny is that they'll keep a guy who hung out with a pedophile, but Meghan Markle is so controversial.
Right.
I'm starting to see a little bit of it now. Of course, I still think, Meghan made a mistake leaving the royal family, or I think she knew what she was getting into. I do.
I don't think people realize to what extent. I think we all think we know.
Right. It's true. But I think they need to denounce. I'm waiting on Will and Kate to denounce.
I think, listen, he's got to step up. And if it's jail time, jail time.
But right away, he needs to be stripped of his royal titles.
Oh, yeah. I think he's not.
No, he is still not.
Didn't they say they retired him?
No, just a lot of the charities that he supported, they dropped him.
Oh, I thought like he was kicked out.
Lock him up or take away his titles.
Yeah, no, he definitely shouldn't have titles and be out and about doing whatever. Like, he should face the charges.
And Fergie, you are disgusting, okay, for even covering up for Prince Andrew, sending pizzas, you and him. The children
Who are they sending pizzas to?
The children do not want your pizzas to charities. Yeah, the children do not want your pizzas. They don't want you reading storybooks to them,
but that's what I mean. They think they're going to do a nice PR campaign.
It's not working, okay? This is the world of Twitter now, okay?
I think they think it's working. I don't know who's telling them.
Shame on you, Fergie and Prince Andrew, and shame on Jessica.
Well, it's these PR people. Next thing you know, we're going to see Jessica out there at the charities coming back too. They all think they can come back from anything.
It's true, and
they really
they're going to get a real smack in the behind when they realize.
No, I think that those days are over. You just mount a little nice PR campaign, and we all forget.
Right?
I don't think so.
No,
it's over. But you know what, Puds? Another great episode.
This is such a good episode. Oh wait, before we go, I do have a Mika Stauffer update.
Oh please.
The authorities in Ohio are looking for Huxley. He still remains missing.
Still?
They cannot locate him. But we will keep you up to date.
Wait a minute. They really don't know where he is?
They don't know where he is. I personally think they might have, and I'm hoping this is not true. I hope he is alive, but I don't know if he is.
That's not normal. That's really sad.
Keep in mind, guys, when they gave away their son, when they trafficked their son out,
as they like to say,
these children traffickers went to Bali, went on vacations.
Wait, after they rehomed him?
That's right.
Oh, my Lord.
So... who knows? But Huxley, we're going to keep track and we're going to let you guys know.
Hope you're okay.
Yes.
Well, if you like what you hear, don't forget to check us out weekly on iTunes or on your preferred platform. Please give us a rating and subscribe to the show. Give us the stars you think we deserve.
And you can also check us out on our website at allkindspodcast.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter at allkindsweekly or on Instagram at allkindspodcast. We look forward to hearing from you and maybe we can discuss it on our next show. Thanks for listening.